Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the League of Legends World Broadcast Twitch. Some of the Season 1 games were not casted, so you've got myself and DJ filling in. I'm Jake Kelton. I've been around the scene for a really long time. It's been a minute since I've casted, so it's going to be fun to get back into the casting seat. And DJ is very much in the casting seat. Welcome, DJ. It's great to have you. And this will be a fun game for you because this is kind of Season 1 way before your time when you got started playing League of Legends, right?
Yeah, Jake, I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me. Yes, I am. I am close to a boomer, Jake. I am fairly old, but my parents didn't let me play video games as a kid, so this is definitely way before I got into League of Legends. I think I was a season 4, season 5, or this is definitely going to be some retro for me. I know a little bit about some of the items. I know the old champions as well, but yeah, definitely before my time.
This is the good old days of the icons. I mean, just look how beautiful some of these icons are. We got Karthus, just it was my favorite champion back then in Season 1. But we don't want to talk about our games, at least my games back then. We could talk here about these games as well. Twisted Fate, Rumble, Vayne being banned away. The two teams that are going to be playing today, Epik versus Pacific or PCFC, as you can see there. I'm excited for this game in particular because there's some players in here that I know a lot of super old Season 1 teams for the World's Championships and stuff had players that you don't see anymore. They aren't playing in the game. In fact, most of the Pacific players aren't involved in esports anymore. But look over at Epik. We got Doublelift, we got Dyrus. These are names that are still around in the pro scene and stuff. And so it's really cool to kind of see some of their early starts to their League of Legends chapters and histories and stuff.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, Doublelift as a support. Who would have thought, right? That was a player who relied on taking
Wait, he
all of the
doesn't still play
resources
support?
for most of his career. So he's going to be playing support for Andy Dinh, the founder of TSM's brother, in this game. He's going to have to be the one that's providing all of it for Andy, or for Dan Dinh, for Westrice, for Dyrus. There are some fun names here, and interesting to see how they did interact and play together all the way back at the very beginning of the game.
Oh my gosh, look at that picture for Flash. I forgot about that. Oh, it's been forever. It's been forever. But we got Vladimir being locked by Westrice. I will say, way on the early days, Vladimir was one of the major dominant players. That's why he's first picked here. His damage and his scalability basically said that, look, if the game gets up to that 30-minute, 40-minute point, the game is over. And so when you see a champion with the hyper scaling that Vladimir can have get picked in, you say, hey, we need to win the game super, super fast. And so that's where you pick the point and click CC champions like the Warwick on this side of Pacific, because back in the day, Warwick's ultimate was not a skill shot. Even today, it's somewhat of a skill shot, but it was just you walk up, you press R, you immediately duress someone. Pretty cool. The Soraka coming in as well. It is just, oh my gosh, I'm having such nostalgia hits from this time forever ago.
Even I'm having a little bit, Jake, and I'm having a little fun. The Soraka picture, she looks so angry here for Gibbo as he selects this one. Just so different from the icon of today. But we do see the Corki locked in, so definitely a lot of going for a lot of scaling on the side of Epik. Corki back then an 80 carry, of course, but still gonna do so much damage the later the game did go on. And hovering a misfortune, that also looked, why did they all look so angry, Jake, in their icons?
Oh, so intense. I mean, even look at Janna, right? Janna's supposed to be the angelic support, and she's like, I'm gonna get you. But the thing I want to point out about the Soraka is the clairvoyance being grabbed as a spell. We don't have that in the game anymore. It was a great spell for being able to track enemy team junglers and get that free vision. Kind of functioned as a blue buff that was on a very low, or not blue buff, a blue ward. It was on a very low cooldown and didn't actually place a ward down. So I remember one game in particular that I played that me and my friends, we really, really didn't like not knowing where the jungler was. And so just as kind of a trolley play, every single member on our team picked clairvoyance. And then because it was on such a low cooldown, by the time that each person had finished using their clairvoyance, the first person was back up. And so for the entirety of the game, what we did was we, first clairvoyance, the blue buff, I think was where they started. We kind of knew they were going to start there. And then the rest of the game, we just followed them, each person clairvoyancing one after another, and had constant vision on the jungler. He couldn't gank anywhere because we always knew where he was walking. It was hilarious, a great game. We did end up winning it it after all. But there we go. Urgot and Malzahar both being locked in. More CC coming in, more point and click. Urgot's ultimate was also point and click. Malzahar's ultimate's a point and click. They're trying to make it really easy for them to ult people.
Yeah, very, very easy to ult people. This is that old Urgot Swappy ultimate, the really buggy one from back in the day. Some pretty epic plays have come from that ulti, but of course Malzahar hasn't changed as much. He's going to press that R button, really make your life miserable, and it is just so much point and click CC, Jake. They really don't want Westrice to have a good time.
Hyperkinetic Position Reverser is the name of Urgot's ultimate. And I didn't have to look that up at all. I know that because, again, way back when I was playing, I actually was casting as well. And that was one of those skills that I specifically went out of my way to memorize it so that in the middle of casting a game, I could throw down the Urgot drops the Hyperkinetic Position Reverser. And it just blew everyone's mind.
That is a mouthful. That's a really hard one to say right there. I'm impressed, Jake. That mid team fight trying to throw out 6 syllables. That's something else.
Oh yeah, I went over the top back then. I'm still over the top today. We got Nudu as well as Doublelift locking in that Tarek. He's got the clairvoyance as well. Again, this was a classic for the supports to pick up. So compositionally, it's one of those things that it's fun to look back on because their comp, at least from the side of Epik, is not that off what we might see today. A couple of the champions are a little bit odd, but you have the fast jungle clearing from the Nunu, a tanky support, which you probably see more Leonas than Tarek's today, but still kind of the same thing. The one oddity would be the, I think Vladimir is going top lane and it's Corki in mid is how it should work out, but they could also swap. That's something you see a lot in the early seasons of League of Legends is position swaps all over the place. Obviously, they champion swap, but position swaps as well because you're constantly trying to find the right matchup for you versus the other team. So we'll see where they end up locking their roles in.
Yeah, we did at least have the champion swap, so it is going to be Salse taking that Vladimir. Westrice hops onto the Corki instead. We'll see where they do end up in their matchups, but I'm more just excited to kind of see how these champions overlay their abilities, and watching Doublelift play Tarek and have to walk around just being a stun bot and an ult bot instead of farming minions and trying to carry team fights, just like trying to help his team. Like, Dyrus, I'll protect you. I promise. It's not like 3 years later.
Right, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Is for Doublelift, this is early on, and as a support, you didn't have to focus on farming literally at all. And so we'll see how much farm he ends up stealing before he swaps over to the 80 carry role seasons later. But the other thing I want to throw in, which is fun, I hadn't really noticed until now, Vi picking up the Poppy. I don't know if you were playing at the time when Poppy's ultimate was still a single target. No one else besides this one person can deal damage to me, which was just insanely broken because you threw it onto the support of the enemy team. Like, imagine throwing it onto Soraka, right? Soraka's never going to hurt you ever. So you just threw it onto one person. They can't touch you. The support can't do anything to you. And then you just go ham on everyone else. It was ridiculously broken. I like her ultimate much better now, but I'm excited to see it in game, especially with all of Pacific's hard CC, point and click CC. There's so much point and click CC back then. Didn't require nearly the amount of skill that League of Legends today carries.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised it got through all the picks and bans considering how busted it was, Jake, at the time. I've seen that ability on like 4 or 5 like top 10 dumb abilities in the history of League of Legends, and it's always like number 1 or 2. So it's interesting that even back in season 1 this would slip through. I remember stories about like Beta Twisted Fate when his ultimate was his E and he could just warp around the map on like a 30-second cooldown. You were like, what? Hello?
What is talk this? About role swapping and ganking random lanes. She's just everywhere. Which I should, with the ghosts that we see in this game, we should see those pretty good as well. The Vladimir taking ghost, Westrice taking ghost, Urgot, Ido taking ghost. So should be some good times as people are going to be moving around. Hopefully, we're moving around the map. I don't know. Back then in season 1, there was a lot of just sit and farm until the 20-minute mark, where everyone grouped around Baron and then died. The other fun thing to note is that this is, like, of course, season 1, as we mentioned, where the dragons were basically basically just like harder to kill jungles. That's all they were, was just extra gold and a little bit of extra experience. And so there was nowhere near the focus on killing dragons. It was just kind of this extra thing. There was some pingings for Epik to potentially invade, but looks like they're going to instead hover towards this bottom side of the river. See if they can maybe pick someone off as they're running through the jungle. There's that clairvoyance coming out from Soraka.
Didn't spot anyone. Do they know? Do they know? They're about to find
Now
out.
they know. He's going for that point and click CC, locking down the Poppy. They're trying to get some silence through with Malzahar as well. All right, it's just a little scare there. Should be a quick recall. Look at the old style recalls as well. No extra animation from the champion. They just stand there as the bars come around them. Great stuff. But it does give jungle pressure over to Epik, as they should be able to pick up this bottom side blue buff.
Yeah, Jake, I was gonna say, I'm a big fan of nostalgia. Us here in the video game anime community, we all love our nostalgia. But if there is one thing I think we can all agree that's gotten better about League of Legends, the visual quality on the map these days is quite something compared to these early seasons before that full rework came through.
You don't love the neon colors that make your eyes bleed? Come on now, come on. Also, the stylizing of that top HUD bar, which was just like these random metal bars, and you're just like, I don't think this has anything to do with the rest of the game, but sure, we'll go with it. We'll stick around. But the other thing to note here is there was no teleports for either team. No teleports whatsoever. You think about today's meta where mid laners, top laners, and sometimes supports are taking teleport, right, to get around the map. Corki is now having to slowly fly from the base all the way into top lane. Vladimir did get to mid at a pretty decent time, so he should be able to get farm without too much difficulty. But yeah, it clearly there was less energy spent on trying to move around the map quickly. And it's like, hey, Corki, just take your time. Don't worry about that first 2 waves. It'll be great.
Yeah, without any dragons, right? Without any early objectives, it just is so much more about the farm. You can just kind of come back to lane. You don't really get punished for all that much, as you did objective-wise today. So just able to hop on back and shouldn't be hurting too much. Westrice has started to farm on up alongside Wormy. We've got Urgot and the Vladimir taking up mid lane positions, and okay, flashing away already is the bottom lane of Pacific Esports. Doublelift and Dyra showing them how it's done.
Well, look at the pairing up. I actually completely missed this as they were walking out to the lanes. This is a Poppy Soraka bot lane pairing, right? Where is your range? Where is your poke? You got no damage, especially early on. Poppy, way back in the day, she was all melee. She did have her charge that she was able to get in, and as long as she slammed you into a wall, AP Poppy was a pain in the neck. But it takes her a long time to get to that point. And so you see with the Heart of Gold that Poppy's currently carrying, it's all about scaling up later on into the game and buying items at a later point. And yeah, they're going to be suffering for a while on that bot side because Tarek's point and click CC with Misfortune's range attacking shouldn't be any problem. I'm also excited for the wards that people can grab because you can see the Soraka, she's got 2 green wards in her inventory. Those were, you could buy them and you could buy an infinite amount of them. And so you could basically just absolutely cover the map with wards all over the place, and supports were the only person who ever bought them. So pretty entertaining. We'll see how many wards both teams get down over the game.
Yeah, and the ward score was super important, Jake, right? Because this is kind of how like Korea dominated the entire world's meta. They were just like, hey, we're going to put 1,000 wards on this map. We're going to wait until this play is absolutely guaranteed by 100% vision, and then we will kill you because you don't know anything.
Yeah, I mean, vision is such a big deal in the game, and it took a couple seasons for people to figure out, except for obviously, as you said, the Korean and even the Chinese, there were some of those early carriers of, hey, we're just going to cover the map in vision, know everything. It took NA a little bit of time to pick up on that. You can see that I don't think Tarek started with more than maybe a single ward that was already dropped around blue buff, but still entertaining time. Should be farming for a while yet. I'm trying to think of the other early spells that Malzahar hasn't changed that much since his early time. He can't spam those monsters, the voidlings anymore. They kind of just were something that was passively happening as you progress, and as you, I think, dropped 3 spells, another one would spawn. But here comes Nunu for a gank.
Does he have no space? Flash it away is Wormy, and that's a second summoner spell that is expended by the likes of Epik. So Dandin getting some nice work done early. It's been that bottom lane in the jungler setting really any of the tempo in this game, Jake, but it is a gold lead now for Epik, about 1,000 in the early laning phase. I'm sure that doesn't mean as much as it does today, but it's not bad.
Yeah, it's one of those things that in every game, more gold means better items. The question is, when do you buy those items, and how can you carry that forward into the game? And early, I mean, even League of Legends now is still a bit snowbally. So as you said, we'll see how they can progress with that. And the pressure that's being mounted on this top side from that gank from Nunu basically allows Corki to push the wave in, and then he should be able to back and at least buy a little bit with his nice 6-minute 31 CS. Isn't that so great? He's getting about 5 CS a minute here, or 50 CS a minute. That's no, it is. It's 5 CS a minute. Jeez.
Yep, that's those stats would not hold up today, Mr. Jake. 10 CS per minute's the gold standard. It never happens, of course, because people do have to do other things, right? Set vision, move
Did I
around the
know
map.
this? Do they actually want Westrice coaching their academy team when this is how he plays?
It's a great question, Jake. It's a great question. They did unfortunately just fall out of proving grounds, so maybe a little too soon to be bullying Westrice after they lost the Golden Guardians.
All right. I'll lay off, but maybe take a look at the contract. We'll see. The other thing that's fun for to note is you're seeing the spectator for this game manually moving around the map, right? I keep expecting the map or the camera to just hop over to where fights are, and instead you're getting this very slow, glitchy, just grab and drag as he's moving around. Nunu ganking mid lane. I think Ido should be okay here. There really isn't a whole lot of CC. Oh, he tries the hyperkinetic position reverser to get Nunu under the turret. That's something that you see a lot, and that's why it was so dangerous to gank Urgots in the early seasons, is because once you got under there, as you're trying to escape, he'll grab you, flip you around, you'll be back underneath the turret, probably die. In this case, only got one turret shot, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal. And Epik taking a strong lead, especially as they grab this bottom side turret. We'll give them pressure around Drake. We'll see if they go to actually. Oh, Poppy misses her charge. Misses getting Tarek into that turret base, and should be going down for it. Even Tarek able to get some damage in through the Poppy ult. Here comes Warwick. Dabase here. Oh, all right. At least getting a trade of kills. Chasing down Dyrus. Flashes in. Trying to get those slows down. I think this is before his fear. So he's just got a lot of auto attacks with his red buffs. Oh, Misfortune tries the bullet time to finish off the Soraka. Gibbo doesn't quite get it down. So it's 2 kills for 1, but at least a trade of turret.
Yeah, the turret's going to be very, very nice for Epik. Classic Doublelift going in aggressively here, Jake, trying to get that first blood, even at the expense of his own life. This is definitely a precursor to the 80 carry days to come as he really, really tries to put the pressure onto Vibe. But that lane has just gone so well for them with the first turret already falling down. That is such a long lane. That is such a successful lane. And they're going to have a lot of gold to buy some items as they come back out on the map.
Yeah, and you can look at kind of the farm situation in that bottom lane. I know that the positions of the champions are a little bit all over the place, but Misfortune, who's the ADC for Epik, 45 CS. Poppy, who's kind of the ADC for this side of Pacific, 12 CS.
Cool.
When you add the total of the Misfortune 45 with the 10 of Tarek, 56 now to literally 12, because Soraka hasn't taken a single minion. That's that huge gold lead that Epik is stacking up, is because they actually have a carry in that bottom side. Whereas this game for Pacific, I don't know exactly what occurred during the picks and ban phase. They decided to go with this Poppy for bottom side, but it's definitely not working out, at least in this early portion of the game. And it's going to take a long time for Poppy to come online and be a useful champion, because at the moment, she's basically just another minion.
Yeah, that's not a lot of CS. That's a very rough lane, double ranged into that melee with no damage. And maybe they were thinking in draft, Jake, that with this Corki and the Vladimir drafted by Epik, they just didn't really have a late game option to match them. They had all the point and click CC, but if you can only get it on one, or you get kind of blocked off by Doublelift, how are you going to kill these two carries? So Poppy probably some sort of late game answer to that with that ultimate. But as you're saying, when you take it into this ranged lane, you're asking for a little trouble, and it certainly has told here for Epik as they have mounted a very large lead.
Yep, and they should be able to scale this up a lot more. They'll be able to pick themselves up a Drake, so even more gold to them, some experience on top of that. I also want to note, though, that Warwick has now gotten his ultimate, and that was one of the big things about Warwick, is that he takes a while to get his point-and-click infinite duress, but now that he has it, hopefully we'll actually see him start to gank, because that's what they were missing this game, is Debay, where you been, man? It's not the real Debay of today, but, he's been just running around the jungle, farming, hit that level 6, and now he's able to get around the map a little bit more and hopefully start to have an impact in the actual game, because as we said at kind of the beginning, we're still seeing laning phase and we're a nice solid 11 minutes into this game.
Yep, still got that laning phase, but finally with all the level 6s, right, the whole kind of composition can come online. You've got the Malzahar ult at level 6, well, he's like level 9 now, but, you get the point. Now you can layer all that CC, Jake, and really try to make someone's life miserable, or a couple people's lives miserable, if you can find them in the right place. But so far, we have yet to see Dabe really find a play. He hasn't been looking for them. We're going to have to keep our eyes on him on vision as he does go through his top side camps at the moment, because he needs to start keeping up with Dandin, who's been in multiple lanes, has helped get flash advantages, and has helped these scaling members on the Vladimir and the Corki just kind of get stronger, get towards those later game item spikes, get towards the winning part at the end of the game. And Doublelift's going in.
Yeah, point and click CC. The healing, though, from Soraka, keeping herself alive a little bit longer. The Poppy was trying to solo out Dyrus, but I think now in a bit of trouble. There's the bullet time as well. Tries to take the Tarek Slam to be able to escape, but another stun from Doublelift, slowing things down. Soraka being a pain with those constant heals, and that's enough pushing forward from Epik. Almost called them TSM. Epik, and ooh, nice little trade around from Ida to be able to get out harm's way. There's the infinite duress. Can they finally take Solace down? I think he still has his pool available. The poison ticking away. There's that Hema Plague, trying to get a little bit of extra damage down. He is going to fall. The Nunu ultimate. What's the burst of damage? Ido's dropped to half health. They do pick up one kill, and finally we start to see, as you said, those 6s come out. The fighting begins. Corki's coming in here, trying to get the Valkyrie. The stun coming through as well from Tarek should be able to pick up another kill. They're going for Vi, but again, with that ultimate, only that Corki could deal damage, and he was taking a turret shot, so he backs away and still leaves in the end 4,000 gold lead for Epik.
Great skirmishing from both teams, Jake. So we finally see Dabe with that infinite duress come and make a play. They are able to take down Salse, and it looks like they're going to get out mostly unscathed, but Doublelift and Westrice collapse so well from the side lanes. Doublelift gets that point and click CC, and Westrice is not afraid to flash on in to clean up as many kills as possible and make sure that it's a positive play for Epik.
I do want to know, going back to what you said with the Doublelift and his kind of early days of League of Legends, as you said, he's so aggressive. This is now, I think, 3 times this game alone that we've seen him not only on the front lines, but turret diving forward, flashing forward, trying to find those stuns again and again. And sometimes he's even behind the enemies, trying to make sure that he's around them long enough to keep those stuns coming through. And so it's just really fun to kind of watch him in those the early days in his interactions on a supportive champion playing hyper aggressive as he is. So at this point, Epik, you're in a very solid lead, but as always, you don't want to throw it. So we'll see how they keep up their vision. Oh, the rotations, the stuff that we see from modern League of Legends.
Hey, they're clearing out wards, Jake. That still happens today. So
hey, yes, the Oracle Lens. Did you play when Oracle Lens was a thing?
Yeah, I played a little bit when Oracle Lens was still a thing.
At 500 gold, I think, was the amount that you spent to be able to have a permanent ward clearing, being able to get vision on those. And I thought it was the greatest thing when they made it basically free as that 7th passive item that you could get and clear out those wards. So I don't like the cooldown. But man, when you bought Oracle Lens, walked out, and then immediately died, it was the worst feeling in the world, as a support especially.
Yeah, just 500 gold just in the back. You're like, oh, I'm going to go clear off all the vision. This map is ours. I can do this. I can be the... Oh, no, I'm dead. Oh, and speaking of which, I believe Wormy is dead, although he gets an ulti out. Westrice is going to fall as well, 1 for 1 in the top lane.
was a little pretty ecstatic to go in and then just sat underneath the turret. He's just like, I'm just gonna shoot here. It's okay, I'll tank it up. The Nunu's right here and far tankier, but it's okay. I got this. I got this. There's a nice position reverser to pull Nunu out of the turret range. I think some of the poisons from that Q not gonna be long enough range. Back then in the day, you I think landed your grenade, your toxic grenade on E, and then the Q would gain a whole bunch of range and would target them. So it automatically kind of track them down, but I don't think that was enough range, and so a little bit overzealous from Ido, but at least got the flash out of the Nunu, so that should help a little bit. Wait, does he have flash? I can't tell what that top spell is.
He's flash.
Okay.
He's got it on the bottom there.
No, the Nunu...
Some credit over to PCFC, Jake. You know, they are fighting back against the likes of Epik, even when they're down in gold. Right, we've got 5-4 in the kill score. Even though, look at the gold score, right? They're down like 6K gold already at this point in the game, 15 minutes in. But they have kept the kill score relatively close to this point. They continue to try to group up and skirmish. And again, that Poppy's starting to work out. We finally have like double digit, right? We're at 35 CS. Woo! Like something for Polar Vi to actually maybe get an item.
It's gonna be still a little bit again. Just sitting on the upgraded Heart of Gold, which is literally just gives you passive gold. That's all it does. So you have boots and a bunch of gold. That's what Poppy has at the moment. She is recalling. We'll see if she can actually complete something. Hey, Ashin! That deals some damage. There you go. Getting somewhere in the game. But this should be a second Drake over to Epik. And overall, they've just played this game pretty smoothly, I would say, in that they rotate a lot faster. They move between the lanes a lot faster. And now they've been picking up pretty much every objective. You can see from Pacific, they haven't grabbed a single turret yet. This is back before turret plates existed, and they've been constantly on the defensive. They might finally push this top lane enough to be able to get that outer turret. But we got 5 members of Epik coming into this mid lane. They could try to rotate to Baron, but a 5v5 would still be pretty dangerous at this point.
Certainly would be. We see a lot of item completions, but I'm pretty sure there's still a lot of gold sitting in the pockets of particularly Dyrus. You can see he's got 3 Doran's Blade and the Berserker Greaves, but he has 112 CS. I have to imagine he's sitting on nearly a component at this point. So maybe not the ideal time for Epik to be taking a fight, but with how much they've farmed, I mean, look at these members. Westrice has 130 CS, Salsa has 132 CS, Dyrus has 113, all of them easily above all of the members of PCFC. They are going to be very farmed up whenever they do want to take a fight.
Yep, get those items. There it is. You can see the Misfortune picking up the BF sword, which was just unbelievably expensive back then, as well as that Vampiric Scepter, looking for that early seasonal Bloodthirster, and should be pretty happy once that's actually completed. But again, this game required 17 minutes into the game, and people have yet to complete their first major item. They're still buying these small components. Like, this game took a long time back in the early seasons of League of Legends. So you can see most people are kind of hitting the 11 and 12 level and on just pieces of items. But I'm expecting Dyrus to be able to pick something up, especially there should be at least 2 waves that Misfortune is able to grab for free on the bottom side. And then for the rest of Epik, they can kind of just sit around and let the Pacific push into their turrets and play defensively as they start to get some of these stronger items.
I'm still just waiting around, right? Not ready for that Baron or any sort of fight. I definitely don't think Pacific are either, Jake. Like you were saying, they need some sort of objective or map control. A couple of items. They dead. Oh boy, run, Westrice, run, buddy!
Yep, there's the flash. Infinite Duress, Chain CC, Malzahar ultimate. That feels so bad, but there's nothing you can do. There's no cleanse. There's no even if you got out of 1, there was 3 more that were gonna follow up to it. So goodbye, man. Ooh, nice flash there, getting Ida to run away on the Urgot. I think he'll survive. I don't think Ignite or Ultimate's gonna be able to take him down.
Yep, we'll just stay alive, and that's a nice play for PCFC. They get themselves a kill. It costs them a lot of ultis, but considering how many turrets have already been taken, how much pressure Epik has, they don't actually lose all that much. They don't lose their mid lane turret. They're able to hold that one. A wave gets pushed into top lane. They'll mostly just lose some camps and a little bit of extra gold, but these kind of plays you need to make when you are behind 7K gold, when you're still working that Poppy up towards the items. I like PCFC fighting back, but Epik seem very happy to just continue to wait for those item completions, Jake. And at some point, I'm sure, probably maybe in the next like 4 minutes or so, they'll definitely start to look over towards that Baron and think, yeah, it's time that we end this. Get a little vengeance for Westrice there in the top lane.
Yeah, and ladies and gentlemen, your eyes were not deceiving you. That was blue buff being given over to Solace on this Vladimir. It is a strange thing, especially when even back then, Vladimir did not require the use of mana, but the cooldown buff that it gave was so impactful that it was worthwhile giving on to a mage who, even though he doesn't use mana, still gave him that extra damage and that fast cooldown so that his Qs can heal so much faster, he can wave clear faster, and he can push lanes faster. Because at this point, exactly as you were saying, DJ, it's all about continuing to just throw those waves into the enemy team turret, force them to play defensively while you continue to scale up. Because again, the game is about scaling, 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 get your Corki scaled, at the same time, get your Vladimir scaled into those later game stages. We got a gank at the top side. Tarek flashing over the wall, stuns the Warwick, goes for Wormy instead. Here comes Nunu as well. 3-man ultimate, gonna be able to explode, but it's a little bit early because the silence from the Soraka came down. They're still gonna be chasing forward. At least Warwick is going to fall. Vi is here trying to jump over the wall. No, it's not real Vi, it's just the player Vi on Poppy. Trying to do a damage. Can't do that much. Wormy's going to fall as Dallas was able to pick up one with a nice Hemo Plague. There goes another. Misfortune will fall. And somehow through all of this, Pacific Gamers are still at least being competitive because the Poppy is still alive. Soraka's dropping the heals on herself because she can still do that. Vladimir picks up one. He's continuing to go forward. He's stuck between the turrets, but here comes Nunu around the corner with those heals. He's got about 1,000 HP, so should be enough to cause Poppy to back away. And man, that was a scrappy fight. But in the end, I think Epik came out with a small lead.
Yeah, they just come out with one extra kill, Jake, but oh man, it's so close from the likes of PCFC to turning it around. Salse with just like 10, well, okay, it's more than that because he's a Vladimir, but very, very blinking HP bar there at the end of the fight that was initiated by Doublelift. Once again, flashing over the wall to get the fight started. He died nearly instantly. I'm not even sure if he got his ulti off in that fight as he was taken down, but the rest of the members strong enough to clean up PCFC and just come out ahead. And again, if that's any indication when they haven't even quite finished their item spikes, Jake, this could get uglier for PCFC in the upcoming minutes when those big item completions do come through.
You can see Pacific are feeling more confident after that fight, right? They got a lot of kills. This is before shutdown gold, so they definitely didn't get that boost of income. But they felt better being more even close to the end of that fight. And so now they've been able to actually ping out the dragon. They're warding up all over it. However, they may end up trading it for a Baron, which is the much stronger objective to be worthwhile picking up as Epik goes straight on top of it. They see all of the members of Pacific towards that bottom side. Yo, hey, congratulations. You might get a single ward. Ah, there it is. They've been notified. The clairvoyance didn't come through, but I think they just figured out, hey, we've been duped. And now they're all rushing towards the Baron, but it's way too late. It goes down. Nice buff for Epik.
Oh no, and it's almost like a prisoner's dilemma for PCMC here. They realize they've been duped, Jake. They wanted the bottom lane turn. They're like, oh no, I guess we'll take Dragon. We won't even get the turn in the bottom lane, and we lost Baron. It's just gone completely in the favor of Epik as they epically steal away the Baron, are now in complete control of the game, the map. They're going to shove this all the way into the base of PCFC, and we'll see if the members of the Philippine squad can even hold on as Epik get the prize that they've been searching for.
Yep. Well, it's one of those things that when the enemy team is nowhere around, it's like, hey, it's worthwhile just to pick it up. And they do. Very easy for them. They lose the Drake, but again, it didn't give any extra buffs. It didn't stack into anything super powerful. So the question for me is they're doing a lot of recalling, resetting, trying to buy new items. Look at the Tarek, triple Doran's rings. That shows you how powerful the item was. So like, yeah, there's like another 300 items in the game, but you know what? Doran's ring, that's my jam right there. And so for the side of Epik, it's like, hey, we got the Baron buff. It lasts for a good while. I think it lasted 3 minutes in the early seasons. And so it's enough time for us to reset, buy items, and then start to kind of push out some of these waves. If I remember correctly, our producer might be able to give us tips as well. I don't think it buffed the minions back then. I think it was literally just a champion buff. Yeah, you can see that there's no buff to those minions. I don't even think it buffed their movement speed, which is a thing for a while as well. Yep, no minion buff. There we go. Thank you, producer. And so it literally is just a champion buff, which at that point you're like, hey, you could be shoving those minion waves. But again, when you're not buffing the minions, it's not nearly as worthwhile to try to immediately shove into those lanes.
Purchases then are going to be the focus. You can see there's a couple already onto Westrice's quirk. He's got that early Manamune and the Bloodthirster already completed. Dyrus is working his way up there. He's got the Zeal item and the Bloodthirster. They're just so strong, Jake. And we're looking at that Poppy that you were mentioning for the late game. Still no completed boots. Still on a Sheen and Zeal. I don't think that quite matches up as the base is under siege.
Yeah, she's trying to save up for that Trinity Force, but I don't know that she'll get there before the end of the game. Nunu racing forward, trying to be the big tank. Everyone target me. I want to ult you all. Poppy's actually going to drop the ult on the Nunu as they are able to use the Hex Tech position reverser. Pull him back into the turret, at least get one kill, but they've dropped that turret down to about half health. Look at the range on these rockets. I love old school Urgot. Oh my gosh, it's been so long. I used to play him all the time just for those like across the screen rockets that traveled for forever. Love to see it come out. And in that mid lane, though, the chase continues from Pacific. They're going to peel off, though, saying, hey, they still have that Baron buff, gives them a bunch of extra buffs. So we want to be careful in this fight. The good thing for Pacific, though, is that despite as crazy as that fight was, they didn't lose that mid lane turret. If I also remember correctly, it did not heal. And so they are just going to have to continue to kind of just sit there and defend it. But at least they didn't lose any other structures.
Yeah, League's a softy game. They made it easier for us on the turrets. They get 25% health back from whatever like break point they're at, Jake. None of that stuff back in the old days. No, you got to live with your 10 HP turret. That's all you've got. That thing's cracked. It's shit. All the stones are breaking off. The cannon's barely even shooting accurately anymore. Yeah, none of this healing stuff. How do I don't even buy that one. How do rocks heal? It's literally a stone turret. How does it heal?
It shoots a magical laser. All right, it can do whatever it wants. Don't you judge the turrets. If they want to heal, they should have the right to heal. Okay, which is funny because only the inhibitor turrets heal, right? All the external ones, the magic of the League of Legends Summoner's Rift is like you inhibitor turrets. Yeah, you get the healing power, but the other ones just deal with it. Suffer. So
see, that's just me. Now the outer turrets just feel bad. They're like, oh, we're just so much less important than the inhibitor turrets. You had all that magic for the inhibitor turrets, but not for us. Wow.
Well, the inhibitor ones, they're the important ones. They're protecting the inhibitors after all. So, you know, it's like the outer ones, your job is just to kind of stand around and deal damage to minions and suffer, you know, the sacrificial lambs of the turret world. But
so you're telling me they're just stone minions, basically?
Yeah, they deal a lot more damage. A lot more damage. And they can't move, but
sacrificial stone minions.
I do want to pull us back to the game a little bit here because there's something fun to kind of take a look at is that Epik feels like they are in a lead, but not like a game-crushing lead. But look at the gold difference. It's a 12,000 gold lead. In today's modern League of Legends, you would look at that and you would say, oh, this game is over. Epic's got this game entirely in the bag. There's literally no way that they should just walk into the base and end it right now, right? Because they have such a massive lead. Whereas back then, because of the way the itemizations worked, it wasn't nearly as devastating to be as far behind as Pacific is. They are certainly behind, and I expect them to lose this game. But still, 13,000 gold behind is pretty significant.
Yeah, I think that's significant no matter what year you're working on. Again, if you can wait for those later game team fights, League much more a 40 to 45-ish minute game back in the early seasons, you can get some of those items. You can try to fight back, but nonetheless, it's going to be very difficult as they are under siege in both mid and top. They're going to have to make a decision. They're looking for Westrice, but he's just going to walk away.
Yep, Nunu chasing forward again. Dinh saying, hey, focus on me. There's the turret coming down. Hemo Plague from the nice Vladimir should be on almost all 5 members of Pacific. They're cleaning up the fight. Wormy tries to throw out the ultimate, but dies before he gets all the damage down. And look at everyone chasing Salas around. They can deal no damage. The flashing from Poppy, she's going to fall underneath the turret. That's the inhibitor going down. Should be the game as well. We'll see how fast they can crack this base open because there's at least a 10-second timer on Soraka, the closest one to come up. And I don't think Soraka can do that much against all 5 members of Epik.
Nope, that should do it. Epic's going to break the turrets. The timers are too long, and in merely 29 minutes, it's Epik pulling off the group stage win over PCFC.
Congratulations to them. A fun game indeed, especially a fun look back into the early days of Season 1. Doublelift on the supportive Tarek, Dyrus on the ADC. A great game. Thank you all for watching. And DJ, thanks for having you. It was a blast.